Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. We have breaking news. An Air India plane carrying more than 200 people has crashed shortly after takeoff near Ahmedabad Airport. The video shows a plane hit a building. Thick black smoke filled the sky over the crash site, and you can see smoldering debris scattered throughout the area. The airline says the flight was bound for London's Gatwick Airport with 242 passengers and crew on board. Now rescue teams are urgently searching the wreckage. Foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli has more from London. Maggie, what's the latest?
Hey, Diane. Well, right now it's still a very developing situation, but we do know that according to flight radar, the last signal from that airplane was received just seconds after takeoff, and the plane crashed just minutes after taking off when it was just about 625 feet in the air. It then crashed into an incredibly densely populated area just outside the airport, striking a hostel for medical college students. Now, eyewitnesses at the scene tell local media that it was simply horrific and shocking, that this thick smoke filled the air. They heard a loud noise, a huge bang. They rushed out to see what would happen. One man telling local media that there were just dead bodies and debris scattered everywhere. You see some of these images now, Diane. They are truly horrific to witness. This all happened just after 1 p.m. One woman even telling local media that her son had come back for lunch at that local hostel and that he only survived because he jumped from the second-story window. Now, right now, there is a massive rescue operation underway. Local police saying they're dedicating all available resources to this area. Again, we still don't have any exact numbers on casualties, but Diane, you take a look at this video and it truly is shocking to witness, Diane.
So what are officials saying now, Maggie?
Officials were pretty immediate to get some information out there while still limited. Air India took to X and is giving updates saying they are fully cooperating with this investigation. They're going to be posting as much as possible on their X account with updates. They've also set up a hotline for family members as well as an emergency area for family members to visit. We also heard from the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi. He got on X and he said, "The tragedy in Ahmedabad has stunned and saddened us. It is heartbreaking beyond words. In this sad hour, my thoughts are with everyone affected by it." Diane.
All right, Maggie Rulli, thank you.
Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah. Koholoim la Yehovah Bashim Yahushai. Hashem Recha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is H.I.M on the Waf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And, just more judgment going out from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And the Lord been judging that place over there as of late quite a bit, because they have a lot of stampedes and shit going on. The past two so-called festivals or, those get-togethers where they're worshiping their false gods, and hundreds of people getting stampeded and, multiple people dying. They just had one from the soccer match that just passed over that way. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord is really judging them over there. And that's a wild-ass people, too. But now I know they're saying they don't really know the casualty numbers. But, if you read the article, of course, it says that all of them, got deleted. But I'm not sure if that's, official. But 200 and some change people, almost 250 people being deleted like that, and they was praying to their false god. Because, those East Indians over there, they're into, Hinduism, and their biblical name is, they're Elamites. And they're Hebrews. They're Hebrew Elamites. So, see, you have a bunch of different, Hebrew, you have a bunch of Hebrews. It's a lot of nations that are Hebrew that, they don't really talk about like that. Because you have the Hebrew Elamites, you have the Hebrew Moabites, you have the Hebrew Ammonites, Hebrew, Edomites. You know what I'm saying? But those are Hebrew Elamites. And again, they're into a lot of shit over there. It's a lot of, you could just see the darkness on them. Matter of fact, I'm about to go to a place right now, or, just places where I go. I'm at the plantation right now. I come across a lot of them, and they just got a real dark look on them. It's just, you can just see spirits on their asses, it's just demonic. It's like a demonic look, even they women, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's It's just crazy, bro. But anyway, Deuteronomy 32 and 39, it says, see now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So I'm willing to bet you those people, they was praying to their Hindu God, and the Lord was laughing at that calamity. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures talks about how he'll laugh at, laugh at the calamity of the heathen, man, and even our own people. And let me get another one. I just seen that, and that's judgment. And Boeing as well, you know what I'm saying? Like anybody flying on a Boeing plane these days, yeah, you might need to, check yourself. Because you think that those people over there, they're pretty tech savvy. That's what I'm saying. Like where I'm going right now, I generally run into them. They into a lot of tech here in the Americas. Either that or those Moabites, those so-called Chinese, they pretty much run all that tech shit, you know what I'm saying, at this company that I work for. And they're pretty tech savvy, you know what I'm saying? I think they've made some, strides, as far as, they're military might. They have a nuclear might. You think that they make their own fucking planes, you know what I'm saying? But these Edomites, they pretty much got, the game on lock when it comes to stuff like that. But you think like, man, hey, we done with you Boeing people. And Boeing, matter of fact, they just settled a lawsuit and didn't get, it was something that went down with them where they scathed through a bunch of bullshit like how these Edomites normally do. But they got fined quite a bit of money and didn't have to. It was something that they got around. It was, some, I can't think what it was. I'm driving right now. If I could go into it, I would, because I seen it recently. Like, okay, they escaped that fire. You know what I'm saying? So Esau been, they with the money that they have, they just kind of just jump. They fuck people up. You know what I'm saying? From their medical research to chemicals in the ground. These companies, they have so much money, they're able to just buy their way out of all these deaths that they cause. And they just keep doing business as usual, But this is Amos 3 and 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? See? So the Lord done that. We talking about just after takeoff. So what could have been going on just after takeoff like that where you didn't catch that before that plane took off? Because, it's a lot of strenuous work that goes into, supposedly, or it used to be, you checking everything, you checking shit 10 times over to make sure that everything is running correctly before. I mean, come on, man. We talking about, and then come on, man. Esau, man. This guy and his technology, it just takes people out. Now they'll tell you, we can get to all these places faster. Matter of fact, Trump was talking about the Concorde jet like 2 or 3 days ago in his little meeting. And he's talking about, how fast we could get. Matter of fact, he was talking about how America has regressed, so to speak. He's like, we've gone backwards as far as, our progress when it comes to planes and air technology. Because, of course, he just accepted that plane from those so-called Arabs over there. You know what I'm saying? Supposedly his new Air Force One is this luxury castle in the sky. You know what I'm saying? He's over there accepting damn gifts and bribes and shit. And I don't even think that's a Boeing plane. I'm not sure, though. It could be. But, yeah, man, the Lord is doing a real number on these people, man. They was out here just, regular old day, about to go to the UK. We're about to go to London. Like, what the fuck is y'all doing over in London? We're about to go on vacation. See, that's a lot of the stuff that they do. They call it holiday. We're going on holiday. Oh, yeah? The asses is out of here. And that's going to take a little while to clean up. And the investigation goes on for 20 years damn near. But, yeah, the Lord is judgment going out, man. So, that's why we say pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for mercy on a day-to-day basis. Because you think any of those people got up and thought that shit was going to happen? That was the last thing on their mind. I'm willing to bet you that was the last thing on their mind. They was all making plans. They already had schedules and shit going. You know what I'm saying? We're going to, already had their tourism shit set up to, where they were going to go. The hotels is already paid for, and all that good little stuff. Now they got a list set up to actually a hotline to find out if your ass was if you survive that shit or not. But that's the pride of these people, because they don't say if it's the Lord's will. I don't even think they do that even in their own religion. If it's the Lord's will, we're going to do such and such, such and such. Scripture talks about that. And a lot of people get up every day and, or they just make plans. Like, yeah, I'm doing this next week. I'm doing this next month. By this time next year, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have, if it's not the Lord's will, you're not going to have any goddamn thing. You can make plans. Scriptures even talks about that. You can make plans. But if the Lord don't want those plans to go through, it's not going to go through. It just is what it is, man. That's why we say, if it's the Lord's will, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do such and such. You know what I'm saying? And, we're about our daily bread. It's a day-to-day thing with us, man. There's nothing wrong with planning something for next week. But you still have to think in the mindset that, okay, if it's the Lord's will, I'm going to do this or that. Because other than that, basically, you're placing yourself in a God-like state. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'm all-knowing. And we've seen examples of that, you know what I'm saying, as far as like where Yahushua, he was explaining this this parable of this guy, talking about his barns and, filling up his barns and taking rest, and roughly paraphrasing, and, the Lord said, hey, well, I'm going to strike your ass down, and who's going to be in control of your stuff then? Roughly paraphrasing. So it's scriptures on, saying if it's the Lord's will. I'm just, I try and practice that. Most definitely, you know what I'm saying? And, as a new believer, if you just coming into this truth, you should try and practice that, man. Make that a regular thing that you say when it comes down to making plans or doing something. I even say it with the heathen. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, hey, Lord willing. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to, go all crazy hard, about it when you're dealing with other nations of people, but still, I just do it. I don't give a fuck. Fuck them, They don't have to, because it's really like somewhat, when people say that, it's actually just a saying to them. So it's a common saying, but when it comes to us, you should be really meaning that shit. This shouldn't just be something that's flying off your lips if it's the Lord's will. And that's, maybe that's for somebody, coming out of this particular lesson right here, because I'm looking at this shit like that shit is chaotic. People were scared of shit. And the scripture says that it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. That had to have been terrifying. And they know they're going down. They said his body's all in the street because, this is not like they was up 30,000 feet in the air already. They weren't that far up like that. So when the plane crashed, those bodies was overall still intact. So just imagine bodies strewn everywhere. Motherfucker over here on this block. Motherfucker back here on this block. Kids down the block over here. It's just, they had to, shut down the damn city, man. Not to mention, the damn those gas tanks had to been still full. It wasn't like they burnt off no gas or nothing. And a lot of the times when, stuff like that happens, when they get ready to, if an emergency, jump off like that, normally, if they have time, one of the first things they do is they dump the tanks. They dump those gas tanks. You know what I'm saying? They dump all that fucking fuel out of them bitches. So at least if they do hit the ground on a nice impact, there won't be no explosion like that. That gas, you know what I'm saying? Because, and they probably didn't have a chance to do that because this was just after takeoff. So all that shit, just, and the scriptures talks about how the Lord, he created spirits of vengeance. One of those spirits that he created is fire. And that's what a lot of stuff, like when you see a lot of, vehicles being transported, like say like you might see a 18-wheeler on a freeway and he's transporting, 10 or 12 vehicles, whatever the amount, or they're on trains or however they ship these vehicles. Those vehicles don't have a lot of gas in them. They'll have just enough to pretty much, get it on to whatever it needs to go on to, just enough to get it off of the, the train or whatever it's on and get it to the stationary spot. And then they'll gas them up from there. They don't have a lot of gas in those vehicles like that because in case of an accident, if the damn train go off the damn track or if the damn truck flip over on a freeway or something like that, it's not as much gas and it holds down on the containment of a fire, so the still shit gonna catch on fire, but it won't be as much fuel to add to it, so to speak, you know? So I'm pretty much at my destination. I just wanted to just, chop into this. I seen it like, God damn. 787. Said it's the first Boeing 787 crash. So I guess those other ones, I think this is like they upgrade. But still, okay, well, shit, I guess it's the first time for everything, too. Anyway, pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua for mercy. The scripture says to walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Yeah, and you have to go into prayer, man. Pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua before you leave the crib, man, as you making your routes, as you doing what you have to do throughout the day, man. Just pray without ceasing. Because you just, the Lord can help anybody avoid. It was probably, I'm sure it was plenty of people that the Lord actually was like up, kind of changed their route that morning. Or when this all went down, damn it, I'm missing my flight. I missed my flight. Motherfucker pissed about missing that flight. But now they're probably happy as shit. Like, hey, the Lord didn't want your ass to go that day. He didn't want your spirit back in the spirit world. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, prayer goes a long ways. But with that, Shalom, Kwam Yashala, and Baba Ball.